Hi, everybody, and welcome on into the final episode for this school year of Eye on the Eagles, your all-access pass to all things Avila Athletics. I'm Sports Information Director Tim Hackett. Our guest today, head softball coach Charlie Kennedy. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, Tim, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you for being here. I know it's a busy time of year for you guys, especially because if you haven't heard the news by now, Avila softball, the reigning tournament champs, are back in the KCAC tournament, which starts in just a couple of days. How are you feeling as you get ready to head back to the postseason?
Well, hopefully we're the 5 seed and it's lucky last year. Maybe we'll be lucky this year.
I figured that you would have been wise to the synchronicity there, the similarity, I guess, from last year to this. But it's honestly kind of where some of the similarities end, because it's been a different road to get to that point this year than it was last year. I guess it's fair to say.
Yeah, you know, we had hoped to be higher than where we are, but you only are where you are. You know, you go through the season and you see all the ups and downs that are there normally, that are bumps in the road. We had a lot of highs early, you know. So what we need to do now is focus on what's in front of us, which is everybody's 0-0 starting Wednesday. And we're more than capable of having an outstanding performance out of our pitching staff and out of our offense and defense. And to be a team that's a 5 seed, you know, I'm okay with where we are, truly. I think people have to come through us still.
What I think, you know, something that I've learned over the last couple of weeks is that, maybe this is easy for me to say, but you guys did the job early and locked up this postseason spot, which is the first step. So if you're not going to finish first and get the automatic bid to nationals that way, you got to at least make the tournament and give yourself a chance, which is exactly what you guys did and proved last year, that all you need is that chance to take off and run with it. So for me, you've done that job, and you've qualified for the postseason, which is an achievement in and of itself. And now you have the opportunity to do what you did last year and make another statement.
You know, it's third year going for me, and for the most of the kids that are here, it's their second year going. So they know where we were when we started out last year, going against a good opponent in the first game, and having to play 2 games in the same day, first day of the tournament. Those things aren't easy, but you know, it's executing in great situations at the plate and playing some outstanding defense and doing your job to get on and get off the rubber so that you don't get exposed for a long period of time.
Go ahead, sorry.
So I think that's where we are right now. I think our kids understand that, and I think, you know, the experience of being there a year ago and the success we had a year ago are some things that we can lean on.
That was one of my questions for you, is what did you learn from last year with all the players that you bring back and your coaches, obviously, that you can carry into this year, knowing that it's a different team, different field, different opponents, all this stuff. But knowing the success that you guys had in a lot of different capacities in this event last year, what can you bring into this year this time around?
I mean, we sat there with a .216 batting average for 4 games. You know, we manufactured runs. We out manipulated people, and we held the opponents to like a 186 batting average over 4 games. So you hope that you score more runs than we did a year ago in those 4 games, because 13-3 is probably not going to be the outcome of the 4 games this year. But I think our kids are excited about it. They've worked extremely hard this year. There's nothing you can take away from the experiences that we've had to travel down to Texas to play, and to play the team that's currently ranked number 1 in the country, 47-1, Our Lady of the Lake, and then, you know, to go out to California and play Puente and Hope International, and they're still ranked in the top 12. So we've played some great teams the whole year. Vanguard's having an outstanding season. The difference for us right now is everybody's 0-0. And there are some disappointments that we'd like to look back on, but you can't control those. You can't control what's in front of you more than you control what's behind you. So very excited about our team and our experience and what's put us where we are right now. And there's a lot of senior leadership on this team. I expect them to bring to the table the experiences of last year and what they knew was important about this one particular bat, and just go up there and have a quality at bat and to do your job and advance that runner and then get the run in from third with less than 2. Those things mattered most a year ago.
How does that presence mindset play into your approach for every day of the tournament, knowing that everybody's 0-0 to start off the event this week, knowing that you'll have 2 games coming up on Wednesday and hopefully some more after that over the rest of the week? Could be a lot of games in a short period of time, but like you said, everybody now has that opportunity to reset, start fresh, and that goal is pretty clear for everybody. You pretty much have to win the tournament to get on to the next round for a lot of the teams in our conference. So for me, it means that's a pretty clear objective, but everybody is shooting for that same thing.
You know, situationally, we know that getting that runner on to start an inning and getting them over, and then somebody having a quality at bat to get them in, that was such a factor last year that we didn't have all the hits in the world against good pitchers, and we were facing an arsenal of good pitchers against us last year in the tournament. So getting somebody on base and getting them over and then executing a great at bat, it's the same thing day in, day out. I think when the season gets started this year and you gamble with this situation or that situation, allowing someone to swing instead of maybe small balling a little bit, or trying to steal that extra base when you really didn't have to and run yourself out of the inning. Those are things you don't do as much of. You just play your game. You play it. You play your hand a little tighter, a little closer to the vest. So everybody in this conference knows who we are. They know that we have speed on our roster and we have power on our roster. I think when you look at the kids that we nominated for all conference, they had recognizable numbers to go with those names from the positions, and quite a few of them as returners. So we're excited about the kids that are in our list of 20, because you get dressed 20 for the tournament from this point further. For all of our kids that are here, it's hard to tell those couple kids that you're not on the roster to go, because they work just as hard for the fundraising and the practices and to be a great teammate in the dugout during games, and that's a disappointment. And I'm really it's not fun to be the person that has to put that information out there as here's the 20. But right now, name on the front is the same for everybody. And the ring that we won back in September from a year ago, winning the tournament outright, everybody got one. And that's what we're playing for right now. Is all one band, one sound. So it's an exciting time, but it's also a little bit nerve-wracking because we'll have some new faces that haven't been there, and they'll have to understand the importance of those things as well. But we're willing to, we're battle-tested, and we're willing to take everybody who's on the roster out of that 20 and go see what we can get done.
It can't be an easy part of the job, an easy time of year, and Coach Karp's dealing with this as well, our baseball coach. Everybody that's going into the postseason has to deal with those constraints because you have a large roster, and everybody has to pare that down now to that number that the conference or the NAIA sets. And, I mean, obviously I understand why, but it makes it hard because now you can't take everybody that you've been taking over the course of the year. And for you don't have all those options available to you now because we know how much you like to use and tap into some of that depth regardless of the situation. So that at least constrains that aspect of it, and you've got a shorter bench now to play with fewer cards in that deck, but also that means that those people that you're bringing are the ones that, in theory, are the ones that you have been able to rely on the most in a lot of different ways, and the more senior, the more experienced players to an extent. So I realize that it's, a lot of give and take to set up that type of roster, but at the end of the day, it's easy for me to say because I'm not on it and I'm not making that roster, but at the end of the day, you have to do what you think and what your coaching staff thinks is best to set your team up for success.
I've said this before, Tim, when you've interviewed me on Ion Eagle. To have the coaching staff that we have with Mike McFarland, Alden Wildy, and Mimi Maggard, and Tally Cole, it's a lot of different mindsets coming together as one, and that's what it took for us to put the list of 20 together. But when it comes into postseason play, sometimes you have to have a sprinkling of the new with the old so that they all can get exposed, because if we really would have just taken last year's team, then my kids that are new this year wouldn't have been exposed to it and had a taste of it to understand the difference in what we lose from this year's team going to next year's team. So, it's tough. I try to tell people throughout the entire season while we're doing role meetings with our players and we're looking at how do you get on the bus. There's only 20 going. Got to be somebody that had to call more consistently and that you had to perform in the moment, whether that was just a pinch hit or a late inning substitution to defensively strengthen the team for us to get the win, or you came in and did your job on the pitching rubber. There were just things that were ingredients that you had to do, and that's a really tough thing because we're sitting with a roster that's a little bigger than some, but not as big as everybody's. There's 10 teams in our conference that have 35 to 40.
Really?
So. The excitement of the year.
The team is crazy.
Yeah, we had a JV tournament for the first time in the history of the KCAC, and we won it, and it was with our younger players because our younger players have great talent as well, and that's taking our freshmen and sophomores and a sprinkling of other kids that weren't getting playing time and going over and getting a tournament championship for the year. So we're celebrating more than one thing. I think what matters most right now is a good day of practice today. We got good weather, a chance to get some swings tomorrow morning while we're finishing. This is a really tough week because our kids are having exam week, the same week of travel. So a few professors are allowing me to proctor exams on the road at the hotel for some of our girls. But the ones that can get it done between today and tomorrow are going to get their tests done early and get on the road with us. But, tomorrow night's the banquet, And I love that we do the banquet for the KCAC to recognize all the student athletes representing each of the teams, that even the ones that aren't there. But it takes away from it being as part of a game day where you have some disappointment or something that comes out based on who did or didn't get recognized. So doing it the night before kind of gets it out there, puts it out there, and then it lets everybody get down to business the next day and go play for keeps. So we're very excited. I like I said, I think the kids that we put up for nominations will represent Abilene University extremely well with softball this season. And it bodes well for us to go out there and show what we're capable of, because I know that we're capable of winning this.
Glad you brought up some of these individuals. There's a lot of things that I want to hit on from that, what we just talked about. First of all, let's go back a second, because something that I've noticed a lot, and this is not a surprise to me, to our fans, and certainly not to you, but something that I think has been crystallized even to me over the last, let's call it the last month, is that when exactly what you said a few minutes ago, when you have the best success, earlier this year you were hitting a lot of home runs, and that was fun and exciting, but when you guys are at your best, to me, it seems like it's when you're doing all of those other little things right. So you get on to lead off the inning, able to move the runner over either by steals or by sacrifices or by well-placed balls, whatever, and then you've got another important at-bat with a sacrifice or a grounder or, in a best-case scenario, a hit to bring that runner from third in. And Chelsea Kurtz epitomizes that for this team, because just looking at this week alone, and I was just looking at these numbers this morning, 2 games this week, you guys lost 8-0. She wasn't on base. 2 other games this week where you were competitive or had leads or won against Missouri Baptist, she was on base nearly every time and scored almost all of those times. And this was a conversation that she and I had after the doubleheader against Kansas Wesleyan, and she said the exact same thing. I'll paraphrase because it was a month ago. I don't remember exactly what she said. But she said, well, I didn't do my job in Game 1. I didn't get on base. Team lost, and then in Game 2 she gets on base every time, scores every time, and that's just one example, obviously, but she's just a prominent example because she's the leadoff hitter and does her job very well so often. So it just seems to me that's just a perfect microcosm of one of the things, at least, that leads your team to success. When she gets on, the rest of the players then know what their role is afterwards, and we saw that as well in Game 2 against Missouri Baptist when Hallie Campbell led off that inning with a double. Everybody else then came up and did their job afterwards to score that final run, which ended up being a crucial run and ended up being the difference maker. So that's just another example of you guys doing your job and executing when it's needed.
Yeah, Chelsea got the bunt down the first inning, and they threw it up the first base line, and she circles the bases to give us a lead when we hadn't scored a run in the first game. And then Montana came off, not having got any at-bats in the first game, and goes yard to make it 2-0. But that next at-bat is Chelsea's at third, and Montana's able to get the ball down on a squeeze to score the run to make it 3. And then by the time we got to that last at-bat and they'd made it a 3-1 ball game, we always talk about our last at-bat before it's their last at-bat and nail it. And being able to get a run so you don't leave the door open for someone to sneak up and bite you. And so we got the leadoff runner on in that inning. We were able to get the runner over to third, and then pinch hit off the bench. Stephanie comes up and gives a big sac fly RBI to right field. And lo and behold, because it's good for my hypertension or something, it's bases loaded nobody in the top of the 7th inning before we finally get the last out and win 4-3. Ted Leagraff and I are very good friends, the head coach over at Missouri Baptist. We've been friends for over 20-something years. It's only his second year at Missouri Baptist. He's done an outstanding job. They're a rated team. Going to their place last year was not an easy task to go get a win, and it was right after 2 losses to Friends on the road. So we are hopeful for the same type of medicine that we needed a year ago by playing a quality team and getting a win. And, it was hard fought. I thought Michaela Cotton threw extremely well. I thought Montana came in relief and did a nice job shutting the door to get the last outs. And, we've got more than enough to get the job done this week. Difference for us is going out there and least number of pitches, doing our job with getting the ball put in play, let our defense make plays behind them, come in and get some runs on the board. Facing a team like St. Mary's in the opening round of the tournament will not be an easy task. They're the one team that we have some success against this year already. The 3 teams ahead of them beat us twice each. So, it's a coin flip. I think everybody that was sitting in the meeting last night with the KCAC coaches looked around the room, and they know that there are some teams to be reckoned with,
Sure.
and I think we're one of them. It's about playing your A game.
I wanted to mention the Missouri Baptist doubleheader a little bit because I know that you have mentioned in the past many times about how valuable that game was, and you just hinted at it, that series was at the end of the year last year. And that was why I was really excited going into that this past Saturday, especially given what happened the previous games against Friends, but also considering what you had told me multiple times about last year. That was a quality team. They were nationally receiving votes. You go down there and take one from them last year to finish off the regular season, giving you a little bit of an extra boost going into the postseason last year. Same setup this time around. You take one win off of a nationally receiving votes team to potentially springboard you into another postseason run. Obviously, we haven't seen that yet because y'all haven't played a postseason game yet, but it seems like that was a well-set-up thing. Both of you guys get a win against a quality opponent moving on into the postseason. That was my thought process all day Saturday. I know everybody would love to win both games every time, but I'm thinking for either side, if you come out of that with a split, probably not a bad situation, and that's what both teams got.
Well, I coached in that conference that he's in for 9 years, and they have quality teams like Columbia College, Central Baptist, William Baptist, Cotty College. There are some good teams in there. Facing Cotty College at the postseason nationals after playing Missouri Baptist last game of regular season, those are not easy tasks to play good teams. So he and I are always going to be about how can we set our team up for success best, and it's not about the wins and losses. It's about playing somebody tough before you go face the toughest of the tough. And so we've kind of kept that in mind that we're going to play each other on Saturday every year. His senior day, his place next year, back at our place, in 2 years.
Nice.
Because you just want to keep playing good teams. And you can't have a sour taste in your mouth about the last games before you get to the conference tournament. Better play somebody. At least go face somebody that challenged you to step outside your comfort level. And they did a really good job, I can't tell you the field conditions were great on Saturday. We had so much rain come in Friday that I spent at least 6 hours Friday working the dirt surface, and I'm wishing we had a full turf because it would have been a lot less work on me. But by the time Saturday got there, it was still really soft. It didn't affect them as much as truly. They put runs on the board, and their pitcher went out there and dominated that first game. And so while we were disappointed in the outcome of the first game, it's funny meeting at home plate before the second game, and the umpires talking about, is there anything else we need to talk about? Anything different we need to do? I said, yeah, we need to score some runs. And they all kind of looked at me and laughed. But, I think what you get, the longer you've been in a game, the more you get excited about postseason opportunity. And our kids need to look at that. I'm so excited for Coach Matt Carpenter and the baseball program because it's been a long time coming for them, and they've gone through a lot of different struggles. And Coach Cronk, I'm sure is looking down and excited and proud of everything they're doing. It's exciting for them to be at the same location we are for this postseason run because truly, when we're down there playing, it's fun to be competing, but it's also more fun to have some more of your family there. And, I can tell you last year, first game of the day, we're sitting there getting ready to play Bethany, and while Ottawa just got a win in the opening game and they're our next opponent, Ottawa gets matched up against us in the second game, and Ottawa's entire baseball team filled the stands behind us. And I'm looking forward to us doing that and supporting baseball while baseball comes to support us because we're both going to be at the same party. So meantime, it's an exciting time for Avila softball and Avila baseball. And our spring seasons right now have culminated something that we've lost a little luster from this year. So we're hoping to bring something back that we can be proud of as well.
I think that's an important thing that I want to make sure that I crystallize because – it is historic what the baseball team is doing, but it's the fact that they are doing something now for the first time in their team history. And I think that's on our side of things important for us to promote and to make, everybody aware of. But then as we were, going through that last week, I was reminding myself, well, let's not lose sight of what you guys are doing as well, because now this is back-to-back 30-plus win seasons for you. KCAC Tournament Championship, NAIA postseason berth last year, back in the KCAC tournament once again here. What you guys have accomplished now since you have been here is really, really impressive. It's not the first time that Avila softball has been in the KCAC tournament, that's true, but what you guys and your team have accomplished over the last 2 years, is extremely impressive, and I think that bears mentioning as well, and you guys deserve some celebration for that as well.
Tim, I appreciate that. We have great administration. I think when you look to to all of our, from the president down to Alexander Adams and Sean Sumi. Boyd Pitkin's been an essential part for us this year. He's traveled quite a bit because we've dealt with van issues when it came to no 15 passengers available, so he traveled to Texas and California. We had Paige Cavale out of the admissions office helping us on a trip to California for an extra driver. We've just been fortunate to have people be a part of the run. And while it doesn't have a luster to it that all of us would like we've sat there and polished it, and then all of a sudden it got dusty again. It's time to polish it and be ready for what's next. And I know that our kids know what that means, because we have enough from last year's team back that are going to the dance again. So I appreciate you saying that, and I think our kids don't lose any sight of that while we're celebrating baseball making it. Like we're excited for baseball. You know, I first got here and to walk into the PAV and to go front toss in the cage to my kids and to have the baseball team on the other side, they knew that I was going to bring something to the table to our kids, but it brought something to the table for them as well. Like there's been more focus the more that they've been around watching softball, and they're such a great group of guys to come sit in the outfield and to celebrate everything that we do when they're not in practice or in game. They're in the outfield with us. So we do the same thing. You know, for Coach Carpenter to come down after they'd gotten wins at home the day before, and our whole team was sitting there watching them, and we cooked out just outside their left field foul pole. You know, to us to be doing our chants during their game, he was like, "Man, Coach, I just appreciate you." And that's what you want to have in an athletic department. You want to have coaches that know how much work this is, how much goes into it, and this is not an easy job. From driving vans to fundraising to everything that we have to do to make it work, to the actual recruitment of this with the student athletes that come. So, you know, kudos to them. They've done a great job this year with the transfer students that they've gotten, with the freshmen they've gotten to build depth in their roster and to have enough pitching to go out there and compete at the best levels. You know, getting the 2 wins that secured their berth going up to York that day was huge for them. And we're just excited for them. So really, while we're all going down to the dance together at the same party, it's the last time around at Great Bend, from what we understand. So maybe there's a chance to have it a little bit closer to home or at a bigger complex.
Fingers crossed.
Because I think this week the challenge for them is going to be 8 teams on one field.
No kidding.
And while we get to have 3 softball fields, it's still cool having all of them in there. But I'm like, I don't know how you guys get that done on one field for a week.
Neither do I. Selfishly, I am very much looking forward to being part of that, as well, as I've never been able to go due to the class schedule that you just hinted at. Usually it was a week before in our itinerary, our course catalog, so I was always busy with finals and things like that. So literally I was watching you guys play while I was in an audience watching other students' final presentations 2 years ago. So, I mean, that I don't have to, have that, dealing with that this year, so I get to be there, and I'll be working it, and I'll be doing some broadcasts, so I'm, personally and selfishly extremely excited, but then also professionally I get to be there with both of these teams while baseball makes history and while you guys get to match your history from last year. So from a department standpoint, I love that you brought this up, because this is what we should be wanting. This is what everybody should be wanting, even for coaches and athletes from non-spring sports seasons. They should be cheering you guys on, even if they're not physically there. Obviously, they should be excited to see that we've got both of our active teams right now in the postseason with shots to do well. So both of these fields are open. So these tournaments are open for a lot of teams, baseball and softball, to make some noise. And I think that is really, really exciting. I mean, baseball's got a couple of great teams. Obviously, Avila just ran into the number 1 team this past weekend, and they are extremely good. But that's not going to be a walk for them this week by any means. So Evangel are the number 1 team in softball, but it hasn't been a walk for them all year, and I don't imagine they're just going to coast through this thing this weekend on your side either. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what these postseasons and these tournaments bring out, because, I mean, they're unique, to say the very least.
Yeah, the environment of being down there, KCAC does a great job. Hans Nichols does a great job with our side, along with the new commissioner, Ted. Just getting the teams there and the recognition tomorrow night really kicks off a great week, because you get to see those kids that have excelled in uniform against you being recognized by all their peers. So we're looking forward to that. And by the time we get settled, the first games will get underway, around 12 noon, while we start at 2:30 on Wednesday. But baseball is playing at 12 noon at the same time, so we're going to have to kind of get our pregame in and then be able to go over and celebrate baseball a little bit and support them some while we get ready. But it's a great time of the year. It's what you play for. I don't care how many years I've been coaching. I've said to our kids, if you don't get a ticket to the dance, there's something wrong with the whole outcome of the season. So getting there is one of the biggest things, and then making the most of it. Wanting to play for keeps, wanting to push people to their limits, and to teach people the expectation that this is what we do. We play on game day, and we play to win, and to come out with the excitement, enthusiasm, and the fire in your eyes like you got something to prove.
And this is what, like you said, this is literally what we're playing for. Like, this is what you guys built up for, and now you guys have had a taste of what comes after this. So knowing that there is something more to play for even after this coming week, yes, that's true. But everything, that's not a guarantee. And this obviously is not a guarantee either, but you know that it's on the schedule for everybody. So this is what every team in the conference is playing for, at least to start off. Again, knowing that there's a bigger fish to fry later on. But this is, like I said earlier, this is step one, and you guys were the best team in the conference for a stretch there. You did your job to get to this point, and you come into this event as you already said, as a team to beat. I don't think there's any doubt about that, especially given some of the individual and team success that you guys have had this year. So you have done your part to get to this point, and now it's up to everybody else, all the athletes, to go out there and show what they can do from here.
To get recognition, Michaela Cotton getting Pitcher of the Week, and to have Hallie Campbell and Kaysen Wood and Stephanie Hayes to get Player of the Week, that's unique for us as well, to get 3 offensive players and a pitcher. But you mentioned this just a minute ago, and I want to make sure I give a shout out to all of our coaches, because probably the most enjoyable thing about last year's run in the conference tournament and the opening round of nationals was the number of texts from current head coaches not in season that were watching or pulling for us, and people in admissions watching. This campus really does support athletics well, and to have Dana and Sarah there for the pinning ceremony Saturday after our senior day. We recognized our graduates in the gym. It was Sean Sumi there to help give out their graduation booklets for the meantime, because there's a chance of missing it this coming Saturday for the conference tournament championship game. So it's a uniqueness to all the years of my coaching in my 25th year that I can't say every school supported what you did. And especially in spring sports, it almost seems like there's a lack of support more because the season and the school year is already wound down, and everybody goes, "Oh, were they playing? I didn't know they were playing. I didn't know they'd gone to the tournament." Instead, this school has really done a great job of staying in touch and staying, looking at the prize with us, and then celebrating it. So that's the fun part about it.
It's something you and I have talked about before, just the schedule of it. It's almost unfair because if all goes well, you guys will be playing at the end of this month as well. Well, it's actually still April right now, but you'll be playing a month from now in May if all goes super well. And school is done this week. Yeah. So, people will not be thinking about Avila University this time in a month, but they might still be thinking about Avila softball, and that is something that is unique to spring sports, baseball and softball both, not just at the NAI level certainly, but I think that is a unique thing that you guys have to deal with, and it's almost unfair. But it's up to us to keep that name at the top of everybody's minds, I guess.
Well, you said this also, Chelsea Kurtz being such an igniter for us. You don't want to see this season end.
Yeah.
You want to see things for those kids with Katie Wentworth and Brooke Bellflower. And, the seniors that we just celebrated with, Kennedy Lara, Juju Douglas, the kids that came here in, just within the last 2 years to help us grow this program to where it is now. You just want to see this season keep going. But the ticket to the dance, it's one thing to get the conference tournament. It's another thing to get to the next level with 48 teams at 10 different sites nationwide. This year is so unique because the number 1 and number 2 seeds, which have not changed most of the year, Our Lady of the Lake and Oklahoma City, they will have 4-team regional opening round games, and there'll be 8 5-team regional 4-day tournament.
Okay.
Because there's now 48 teams. So because they stayed with 10 sites, there's still only one winner coming from each site for 10 teams to go to the World Series. But, it's the 3rd week of May, so you get a week off in between, and then you get preparation to go. So our goal is to be playing still 3rd week of May. And that only happens with the incremental steps of day to day this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, we're excited about being part of it, and it's a process every year that you try to teach your kids that want to be focused at your best last and to bring that to the table. So these experiences of going to Texas, going to California, playing great teams, hosting a great tournament that was in Kansas City with 14 quality teams in it. There are a lot of teams that we've seen this year that will be at the dance, and we're excited about having played some of them and take from those experiences to get ready for this week.
What's it going to take so that you're still playing in a couple of weeks?
I mean, we were rated just 2 weeks ago, so truly we needed some wins. An automatic would be getting the tournament championship,
Right.
but we need some wins. It's a great win over Missouri Baptist because they're a rated team and because they have won their conference outright. Bellevue, Nebraska, is sitting there, and we have a win over them, and they're winning the regular season outright. So we need some more teams that we beat to get bids. So that by the time this week ends up, that we get wins this week, and they got wins. Now there's teams that have bids that we have wins against. That matters as well. So who knows? God willing, and that's all you can do is put this in His hands. All the things that we do are because we're allowed the opportunity to do it. And you're only allowed to do this for so long. I've been fortunate to do it for a lot of years. Our kids, unfortunately, only get 4 years to do it. So I want to do it for those kids that are sitting here in their last go-around.
They should want to do that as well, right? That's kind of how it goes. It always kind of crystallizes to me whenever we get to senior day, and we have it for every team, obviously, over the course of the year. I always tell my upperclassmen that work with me that whether they're athletes or not, but eventually it comes to an end on our side as well, and you sometimes never know when that's coming. You always like to think you've got another game. Whatever you're doing, whether you're a broadcaster, whatever the case is, you like to believe that there's another one coming, but you never know that for real. And I told all the the students that I've worked with over the last few years that was what I experienced as a student as well. And I was certainly no college athlete, but at some point I realized that my time here is it's over. There's no more games for me as a student. That's what I was learning, and it kind of sunk in because I was broadcasting a game in our lacrosse Final Four, and we were hoping that we would win that. Our team would win that game, and we would have that championship game, and that would be it. But it became clear as that game went on that we were not going to win, and so that it became clear to me as that second half drew on. Like this is it for me, and I'm sure that. And actually, I know that some of the girls, the athletes on the field, felt the same way as well. They were hoping that there was another game, and they never got that next game. So it comes to an end for everybody at some point, and that these senior days always crystallize that to me, that it's over at some point, whether you want it to be or not. So may as well make the most of it and try to stretch it out for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, sometimes you blink twice and the season's at the tail end of it.
That's how I feel this year.
Yeah. So the excitement about the week is one thing. I want to mention that our kids have done a tremendous job in the classroom over the last few years, and we were sitting there with 16 academic All-Americans 1 year ago. We had 15 at Christmas break. That's our focus for right now, is to keep our kids 3.5 or better and then have an outstanding finish to the spring. So we're looking forward to hearing about that as well. Our kids are really working hard this week to get their exams done before we get on the road tomorrow. But to Eagle Nation, to everybody that's out there listening, we'll be excited to hear you cheering for both baseball and softball while we're in Great Bend, Kansas. And, it's been a fun ride. We hope that the ride continues to last, and we're just going to buckle up our seat belts and see what we can do.
Well, let's buckle up. It starts this week. Tickets have officially been punched. For the first time in team history, Avila Baseball will be at the KCAC tournament starting this Wednesday afternoon. And the KCAC tournament champs, the reigning champs, Avila Softball, are back to defend their title. That also starts this coming Wednesday afternoon. May 1st is the first day of the tournament for both teams. We will have plenty of coverage for that for you live from Great Bend, Kansas, starting off this Wednesday. You can watch every game live and for free on the KCAC network, probably the same place that you're watching this. All of those are live and for free. Stay tuned to our social media, Avila Athletics, and also avilaathletics.com for all details, plenty of updates as well as that week goes on. Coach Carpenter can't be here with us this morning because he had to go to his end-of-season coaches meeting in Salina today, so congratulations to him and to his team, like Coach K said, in absentia. We were hoping we were going to get to celebrate with him a little bit in person, but even without that, wanted to send a big shout-out to Carp and to what he and his team have done and everything that those guys have been through and endured and achieved now over the last couple of years. It's not lost on any of us, and certainly not on some of his alums that I've talked to as well. So many congratulations to Avila Baseball. Looking forward to seeing what they can do with an opportunity in the postseason. So baseball will start off. They're the number 7 seed. They play Tabor this Wednesday at 12:15. Avila is the 5 seed on the softball side. They will play number 4 St. Mary starting off this Wednesday at 2:30. And regardless, Avila will have another game later on Wednesday. Avila Baseball will play again regardless on Thursday morning. So stay tuned to our website for plenty of details as the week goes on. Postseason baseball and softball has arrived. We are super excited for how this week goes on. This is our last show of the year. It's kind of hard to believe, so we'll take an extra few seconds and say thank you to everybody who has made this thing possible. I dredged out a throwback pullover. This is what I wore every time we had this show a couple of years ago. It's got the old logo on it, so sorry, but I figured it would be a nice way to kind of bring things back to a conclusion. And I've had a lot of people that have made this thing a bigger deal than it was when we ran this show a few years ago before you joined us, Coach K. So many thanks to Darian Miner, who's been a part of it even since then. And a big thanks as well to Keaton Ashby for all the work that he's done to help elevate this into a bigger thing. Many thanks to Tanner's, which has been our host all year. Kind of the biggest reason why this is a bigger deal now than it was a couple of years ago. We wanted to add some sort of legitimacy, an extra layer of just kind of professionalism to it, and kind of make this act and function more like it would at, perhaps a bigger school would. And so many thanks to Sean Sumi and to Tanner's for making this happen, and thanks to Tanner's for hosting us every Monday. They've been a great partner. Many thanks to all of our servers and to the managers and the people that have worked with us here. And as always, a final thanks to our administration for helping make this happen. So, Coach K, one more time, thank you for being here. I know it's a busy time of year, and this is a lot going on for you and for your team this week. So thank you for taking the time out to join us today. I do appreciate it.
Tim, your staff gets underappreciated every year, and I can see two of them in front of us, and they're two of the hardest workers. But for the guys that sit there and call the game, or they call the play-by-play, or they handle the scoreboard when it's working or not working. All the things that they do are huge parts of our success, so we couldn't do it without you, Tim. We appreciate you as much.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So once again, Avila baseball and softball are in the KCHC tournament starting this Wednesday afternoon. Stay tuned to our social media and to our website for plenty more updates once things finally get underway from Great Bend. Once again, for everybody at Tanner's and all of us here at Avila Athletics, for the final time, this is Tim Hackett saying thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being part of Eye on the Eagles this year. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long, and good luck to both baseball and softball in the postseason later this week.